I'm going to talk to my best friend in the entire world. Otangelo, you are on with Katie, and
can you
you
mute
need to
the
get off
thing, please?
speakerphone.
Yes, hello, Katie. Hello, Jmike. Thanks
Hi.
for taking my call.
Of course.
Hey, so here I have a question for you both. Let's suppose you.
Why? No, Otangelo, I don't want any more questions. Just give me the arguments. I'm done with questions. Questions can happen next time I'm on. No more questions.
Okay, the argument is a little bit longer, but let's go with the syllogism then. Organisms are constantly exposed to different environments and in order to survive, require to be able to adapt to external conditions. 2, life in order to perpetuate has to replicate. That includes DNA, which must be replicated with extreme accuracy. Somehow, the cell knows when DNA is accurately replicated and when not. There are extremely complex quality control mechanisms in place which constantly...
They're not perfect, right? They're good, but they're not perfect.
Can I finish?
Well, yeah, you can. I'm just cutting in there just to
argument, please.
That.
It's a dialogue, Otangelo.
Finish the argument. You asked me not to ask a question, so
okay, you're up to Otangelo. You're out of 10. Just get back to a 3 and just keep going. Yeah. We're okay. It's nothing.
That's good. I was just adding to what you were saying. Just adding a little fact. You can carry on now.
I would like to finish the argument, and then you can.
Otangelo, finish the argument. I don't care about getting into like the 20th thing between you and I. Just give the argument.
Oh, have you got history?
At least 3 error check and repair mechanisms keep error during replication down to 1 error in 10 billion nucleotides replicated. The repair mechanisms, sophisticated proteins, are also encoded in DNA. So proteins are required to error check and repair DNA, but accurately replicated DNA is necessary to make the proteins that repair DNA. So that is an all or nothing business. Therefore, these sophisticated systems had to emerge all at once and require a designer.
So I asked you this question the last time, and you said it was irrelevant, but I want to know, so like the idea that a particular core of the ribosome is also a I think I misspoke, but is also a self-replicating ribozyme, is that relevant to your argument? Because I feel like it would be.
No, it is not relevant.
Well, how is it not? Because it seems to be the basis of your argument.
Well, because the error check and repair mechanisms, they are extremely complex and fully functional proteins. And if you are unable to recognize errors in DNA replication, then they will not perform the function that they have. So you have to have them fully up and able to function right from the beginning.
That's not true. Cells can change. You could change a small piece of DNA and it could just carry on exactly the same because it might not affect its function, or it could just make it function slightly worse or slightly better. Like, it doesn't have to be 100% replication for the organism to survive. And also, you have like 100 trillion cells or whatever. One of them could go wrong. I mean, that is what happens to people. That's, cancer. One could go wrong and you could carry on living for years. So,
well, I am talking here of an abiogenesis scenario where you have to explain the origin both of DNA, of its replication.
You could have a situation. You could easily have a situation where they didn't have the checking mechanisms to happen in the first place. So the checking mechanism has evolved over time along with everything else.
Otangelo, Katie is responding. Just shut up for 2 seconds, dude. Jesus.
So you're asserting that we've got these checking mechanisms, which mean that it only goes wrong 1 in 10 billion times or whatever. But there's no reason why we had those to start. They evolved over time too. The first ever replication could have easily just not had that.
As I explained, if you have not accurate DNA replication right from the beginning, then you have a far too high mutation rate, and the product will be non-functional proteins.
And you have this based on simple precursors. How exactly did you determine the probability? That seems really odd to me. I mean, well, if you're determining that it could be outcome X versus outcome Y based on certain factors, I'm genuinely curious how you've solved, like, issues with precursors to proteins and things of that nature, where now you're not even, I don't know how you're demonstrating the probability of such, right? This seems to be a huge part within biochemistry to even figure out, that you seem to like have the answer and say, well, if it was this way, it would produce this. But I'm not sure that biochemists are even expressing that level of hubris like you are, at least.
This is a scientific fact which we know, that if you don't have these repair mechanisms in the get-go fully functional right from the beginning, then the error rate will be far too high. And
how do you know, Otangelo? What example do you have at the beginning at which you could observe and know that that is the case? Or what is the novel predictions from an indirect observation basis at which you can make that conclusion? And don't cite me your blog for the 20th time. What is the actual evidence?
No, let's start from the supposition then there would suddenly appear a fully functional protein on prebiotic Earth. Okay, so what would happen going from there?
It's your argument. You tell me.
Yeah, no questions. Remember?
Yeah, I'm not like here to play 20 questions. Just tell me what the evidence.
It would simply disintegrate because a protein on its own has no function. Proteins, they only work in a joint venture together with other proteins and with metabolic networks.
So you're saying that they're just non-functional to anything?
Yes.
Okay. And so you extrapolate that point to what exactly? I'm trying to follow your logic.
What I am saying, that life and the first living cell is an all or nothing business. You have to have all the parts in place and starting to function right from the beginning. And if you don't have just one protein, minimum.
Well, so hold on. So like you wouldn't agree like with like catalytic functions of ribozymes or anything like that, or polymerizing on hot clay? Like you would disagree with that, or is that not? I'm trying to, because it seems like you're working from a basis at which different models, whether it be like RNA world hypothesis, and I'm not great in abiogenesis by any means, but it seems like you're starting from a framework at which, like, if I just cite something like RNA world hypothesis, it just disagrees with the statements you make. I don't know how we make progress from there, because it's just like a he said, she said thing, but you don't actually have the evidence, and the side that I'm on is like actually doing work. It seems like if we took like a meme of it, it's like they're working in a lab and you're on your phone, like on the toilet researching things. You know what I mean? It seems to be you're assuming things that other models don't agree with.
Well, someone doing work in a lab, that means nothing. The RNA hypothesis has not been proven by any means. And
I kind of want to, we're going to end the show on Otangelo saying that doesn't matter, because I've lost a lot of respect for somebody that's like, my work at my house online means a lot, but the work that people actually do, where they create models and predictions and have a falsification criterion and go, hey, I have this paper, I want you to scrutinize it to the best ability. Once they do that, it's like, oh shit, let me go back to the drawing board. If you don't have that approach, and then you're also saying what doesn't matter, I was like, I guess I get why you believe in God so easily and under such flimsy notions of epistemic responsibility.